How you doing, everybody? My name is Ryan Wolfington, and I'm proud to say that I collaborate very closely with four-time Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter Jewel, who's not only a two-time New York Times bestseller, but a mental health expert that has dedicated her life to bringing physical, emotional, and mental health to the masses. And when we were talking about who we were going to bring on, the experts, the lived experience experts, the first person that came to mind for me was Gloria Walker. Gloria is the executive director of a NAMI affiliate in Cincinnati. They are a partner of our wellness festival there with Kroger. And she is the real deal. You know, for years, she's been working in the inner city, making sure that mental health is available to everyone, not just to the select few that can afford the high expenses of mental health, but to everyone. In particular, her personal story with mental health is extremely special. And I'd like to start with that, Gloria. Can you share why this means so much to you and why you've dedicated your life to this work?
I've been involved in this for about 30 years, and I got involved as a result of having my loved one experience challenges with his mental health. And I found out that the system and the treatment was something that I had never heard of before. Had never really heard of mental illness. I had never heard of anything that had to do with the separation of physical illnesses. So, I'd heard about, going to the doctor and getting everybody checked, but no one ever checked when it came to mental illnesses or a person's mental health. That was just not something done at the time. But his experiences were just devastating. They just could absolutely ruin his life. And so I had to get out there and find out what's going on here and what can I do to help him. So I got involved with NAMI after a couple of years of going through, hitting my head up against the wall trying to find out information. But once I got involved with NAMI, I was able to get information. I was able to get education. I was finding family members who were like me, had gone through these same experiences, and it wasn't just me. I wasn't alone. I just felt like, there are people in my community who are going through the same thing, and they are exasperated. They really are burnt out. Family members, you got 2 or 3 children, and one of them is acting out. So I just felt like, I know how good I felt when I found NAMI, that I needed to get out there and help educate people and help them, offer them the support, let them know that they're not alone, that other people are dealing with the same thing. And of course, in teaching them about the illness, I also had to teach them, here's how you do the system. Here's how the system works, and here's how you can work within the system, within the mental health system, within the court system, within the legal system, within the school system, within everything, because poor mental health impacts everyone, starting with our children and trauma in the communities where people are being shot and killed, in the communities where people are poor and having to figure out how to live from day to day, especially with COVID. How do you get food? How do you pay the rent? How do you do all of these things? That's pretty stressing, and it does cause people to traumatize. It causes not just their physical health to go down, but their mental health as well.
I know when we spoke last year, you had explained that your experience was that people of color were not being given the same type of mental health resources as other communities. And there was also almost even stigma within the Black community that mental health wasn't even a thing as much before you got there to kind of educate and bring people along. Can you talk a little bit about what that education looks like and what you've done to destigmatize it in the Black community?
Okay, so one of the first things that we do is to offer support to those people who are going through these various challenges with their mental health. We offer support to them, we offer support to their families, but we also do the NAMI evidence-based practice, the family-to-family training. It's an 8-week class. We're going to be doing it online now, helping family members and others to understand about mental illness.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting. I just found this statistic. According to the 2014 Adult Psychiatric Morbidity Survey, Black adults have the lowest treatment rate for mental health issues. Here's another stat. Approximately 30% of African American adults with mental illness receive treatment each year. That means 70% don't receive treatment.
Right.
Compared to the US average of 43% get treatment. And what's interesting to me on that is, okay, 30% get treatment, and then the average is 43%. That means 70% of people aren't getting treatment.
Let me just give you an old statistic around that, and I don't think this has changed very much. African Americans end up getting their treatment or their introduction to a mental health system in an emergency, at the emergency room, in the hospital, not along the lines of when they're growing up and taking, appointments with the doctor and that kind of thing. By the time they reach the point out here in the community, by the time they reach the point that that it's recognized, maybe not necessarily by them, but somebody recognizes that this is really serious and we need to do something about it. And that's when they end up in the emergency room. And from that emergency room, then they enter the treatment system. And then from that, they can get treatment. It's a difficult system, but if somebody's out there advocating for them, they can make sure they get treatment and the services that are needed.
What are some of the most important things that you think we need to do as a society to make mental health more accessible and to heal this mental health epidemic, not only in communities of color, but in the country as a whole? What would be your 1, 2, 3 most important things you think we should do?
My first thing to do would be to educate. I think educating everybody. We educate everybody in the schools and everywhere about diabetes. We educate people about high blood pressure. We're educating people to have them get out and work out. We're educating them about obesity. We're educating people about health. Let's educate everybody about the brain and how it is part of the body. Your health does not stop at your neck. Taking care of your health does not stop at your neck. I would say the next thing would be access to information. I just believe that when people know what's at stake, they will make good decisions if they know what can happen. And then the third thing, I would think treatment and services available to everybody. Everybody can't just call a psychiatrist because we don't have enough of them. And in the Black community, people want to go to people who look like them, understand their culture, understand what they're going through. People want that, but we don't have a system in place that can put that treatment and services, not just for Black people, but for everybody in the community.
Last year in our foundation, we really believe that children are empowered and they learn by doing real life projects. So they help us put on this festival. They helped us put on the festival last year. Clarissa has been a big part of our organization. And I brought her to the meeting with you, and it meant a lot to her. And I wanted her to be involved in this at the very least, just to reconnect with you. And I'd like to ask Clarissa, what was it like meeting Gloria? And what do you think about what she said about different communities and how they perceive mental health and mental wellness and mental illness, and different personalities and what the solutions might be.
Thank you. First, I want to say I'm honored to be a part of this call because I think that this conversation is really important. You know, I do suffer with a lot of mental health challenges, but I've also seen it in my family and, you know, have it destroy them. And I also recognize that as much as mental health really impacts everyone, there seems to be more like cultural barriers within communities of color. We say BIPOC communities, the Black, Indigenous, and POC communities. There seems to be a disconnect, a lack of resources. Like you said, a lack of ethnic matching with counselors and psychiatrists, which I think is so important because there is a mistrust, I think, for just with everyone in general, but especially in communities of color, where sometimes we feel like maybe our problems are not understood. You know, when I talk about my immigrant father and how there is a lack of understanding with mental health, and you know, when I have a counselor that may not understand that because they don't come from, you know, a background like mine, I think, you know, it's challenging. And so, you know, because for me, I come from a background of, you know, having gang violence in my family and drug addiction. And it's hard. It's hard because, you know, when I was in Seattle, where I'm originally from, it's not that there aren't youth that have issues like mine, but it's that there aren't people bringing us together to talk about it. So I feel alone. I feel like I'm the only one going through it. And then I feel more isolated, when in reality, I know that the youth in my community understand me so well, but there's not structure there to bring us together, which is why I think the Inspiring Children Foundation in Vegas is so powerful, because it is a place to bring us youth together and to try to solve, you know, the issue of our mental health and our healing together as well. So I think that's huge.
But I was really impressed with you, young lady. I really was. I'm still am impressed with you. You are doing so well. And that is wonderful to see and to hear. And I just know you're going to be doing big things.
Thank you.
You know, I agree with Clarissa that communicating and talking about what you're going through with people and opening up, it heals you so much that really helps in the process. I'm a huge believer in meditation and mindfulness, not just sitting quietly, but then being mindful throughout the day and catching ourselves when we get caught up in these future thoughts or past thoughts or negative thoughts or worry thoughts. And, you know, you really are a special human being. You're an OG, you know, mental health back when no one was talking about it, you were in it. And so were we. And we're glad that now it's getting the attention that it deserves. And we're with you all the way. And we hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you guys for everything that you're doing.